I sometimes come to the Academy Awards and watch them year after year, and I get caught up in the spectacle of it, in the event.
My love for Robert started when I first saw him in his iconic Godfather role as Tom Hagen in the first and second Godfather films. That quiet is his ethic: show up prepared, respect your partner, keep the scene honest. Robert is not known to be a controversial actor. I respect his values and his character as he is. When doing the research, I found out he came from a military background, which will explain a lot of his conflicts later in this video. He didn't do press tantrums, but there are receipts, pay disputes, public quotes, on-record blow-ups that map his red lines. We follow the paper trail, not gossip. Because great acting isn't volume, it's an exchange, and exchanges die when ego, money, or method tramples the room. At the end of the video, you can decide what would have broken you, did not with Robert.
Parker's convenience. Which'll it be?
I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man.
Fill your hand, you son of a...
Duvall was Lucky Ned Pepper. Henry Hathaway was the old guard sheriff of the set, meaning Henry was very much the macho man on the set, beating his chest as most Hollywood directors are. Reports from the production aren't coy. It was well documented that Robert and Henry clashed a lot during the movie production, loudly and often. Even John Wayne nearly came to blows with Duvall. That's not fan folklore, knock. It's in the production histories. Kind of crazy that Robert, still young in his career, was not afraid to stand up to the bigger pedigree actors. Why does it matter? Duvall's code is collaboration. Hathaway's was command. When you run actors by shouting matches, the trust evaporates and performances harden. Biographers of John Wayne note the set was a pressure cooker. The kind where the work survives in spite of the weather, not because of it. Artie, yeah, somebody said today to me, I heard you and Wayne didn't get along. That's totally false. Yes, you were buddies? Artie, I got along great with him. I didn't get along with the director. That guy, I saw him say to an actor, now when I say action, tense up. God damn it. You can love the film and still clock the raid edges. This is Duvall's first red line. Don't confuse volume with direction. What the Esquire news article told us is Duvall's values are unshakable.
But he's weak and he's stupid. I always wanted to be thought of as a brother by you, Mikey.
The studio sent terms. Al Pacino reportedly at $5 million plus points. Duvall offered a flat $1 million. One man mattered more on paper anyway. He folded the contract and stepped away. This isn't rumor, Duvall said so on the record. At the time, producers were cheap, with 2 or 3 other actors being paid more than I was offered. Sometimes I try to imagine Robert not there. He acted the character of Tom Hagen smartly as a family lawyer to a mobster family. Could there have been another Tom Hagen out there? Hard to tell. What was certain, I missed having Robert in Godfather 3. It was a shame he was not part of it. Robert Duvall, who was nominated for an Oscar for his role as the family lawyer in The Godfather and played the same character in Godfather Part 2, is not appearing in Godfather Part 3 because the producers are cheap, the actor says. There are 2 or 3 other actors in that film being paid more than I was offered, Duvall said in an interview to be published in Parade magazine. Sunday, that just isn't right. Years later, when asked if he regretted it, he didn't blink. No, it wasn't as good as the other 2. That line comes straight from award season interviews and Reuters copy, not a message board. Can I agree with him? Yes. In my opinion, Godfather 1 and 2 were far better than the third, but as a wild trilogy, Godfather has to go down as the greatest mobster trilogy and one of the best trilogies in cinematic history.
I have a sentimental weakness for my children, and I spoil them, as you can see.
Audience take Part 3, Lost Tom Hagen, The Family's Conscience. Duvall's take. If a family film can't honor the family off-screen, it's the wrong room, and that was Robert's red line. Respect isn't a log line, it's in the numbers. Sometimes I hate that Hollywood is a game of numbers when sacrificing a true art form in movie making.
If you'll just stand beside me all the way.
On screen, Tender Mercies was an okay movie for me. To be honest, I could not watch the whole movie as I got bored from it. Off screen, when I did the research, it was clear that behind the scenes it was a wrestling match. The production record is blunt. Duvall and Beresford repeatedly clashed, the director walked off the set and reportedly considered quitting. Those are in blogger adjectives, and they're in the documented production history. From the get-go, however, Duvall clashed with nearly everybody on set. Bob Duvall is a great actor, but he's often quite hard to get along with, Beresford says. He's ferocious sometimes, and he'd lose his temper often.
When Jesus went down to the waters that day, he was baptized.
Here's the tension in plain sight. Beresford storyboarded every beat. Duvall builds by breath, not tape marks. When a director's metronome suffocates the exchange, Duvall pushes back in typical Duvall fashion. However, the film did win 2 Oscars, which is great. Still, the movie is not for me. But what this shows is Duvall has his acting method and sticks by it. If you have reached this far in the video, you are starting to notice a growing trend with Duvall's conflicts.
No, I don't walk off of sets. I mean, I think everybody would agree sometimes if everything goes perfectly, that means nothing sometimes. If everything is perfect.
This one is pure on-camera receipt. At the Hollywood Reporter's 2010 Actors Roundtable, Duvall let loose what he thought of the great Stanley Kubrick, stating he felt Kubrick was an actor's enemy. Not sure how he meant it at that time, but definitely not a positive notion towards him. He did follow up stating that the acting in his movies were terrible, and when I read that, I felt that a bit harsh considering I love Kubrick's movie in 1980, The Shining. If you have not seen The Shining, please do, but keep in mind it's a horror movie.
Can I say one thing? Please. To me, the great Stanley Kubrick was an actor's enemy.
Well, he did 100 takes.
He was an actor's enemy. And I can point to movies that he's done, the worst performances I've ever seen in movies.
Which ones?
The Shining, what's the one about the Clockwork Orange? Terrible performances. Maybe they're great movies, but they're terrible performances. How does he know the difference between the first take and the 70th take? I mean, what is that about?
Agree or not, the line is consistent with his code: protect the exchange. If a director's method hammers takes into paste, he'll call it out by name in public. That's a rare kind of spine.
Tom Hagen's no longer consigliere. He's going to be our lawyer in Vegas. That's no reflection on Tom, but that's the way I want it. Besides, if I ever need help, who's a better consigliere?
Don't twist it. Duvall reveres Coppola as a collaborator. He said so many times. The Godfather movies was some of Robert's greatest work, but definitely some of the most hurtful trials of his life. The rupture wasn't a shouting match with Francis. It was the studio math that made family feel like PR. You can trace the arc across credible outlets from the Godfather movies. 1990, Pay comments in print, later interviews where Duvall stands by the walkaway, oral histories reconfirming salary imbalance was the core issue Coppola got caught between loyalty and ledger. In my opinion, Duvall respected Coppola, but was disappointed that he did not get enough support from Coppola during his pay dispute. It's good to see Duvall kept it respectable with Coppola, but I can see where the frustration lies with Coppola's quietness on the pay issue. The cost? Part 3 lost the counselor. The gain, Duvall kept the code. Rehook, pull it together. What did these 5 say about the man? 5 hard receipts, 1 through line. With Hathaway, he refused to be shouted into stiffness. With Paramount, he refused to be family at a discount. With Beresford, he fought to keep the breath in the room, then delivered an all-timer. With Kubrick, he said the quiet part loud. If method murders the exchange, the performance dies. With Coppola's triangle, he walked when respect left the table. In every case, the code is the same: in discipline over chaos, partner over pose, exchange over ego. That's why so many of his scenes feel like oxygen, not because he dominates, but because he listens. Tell me where you felt the break most, and if this kind of receipts first deep dive works for you, I'll keep going. Lastly, I want to say thank you to those who watch my videos, and if you have watched till the end, you're a real one and I appreciate you.